So our first speaker, Brendan, will come up. He's going to do self-hypnosis with a deck of cards.
Talk about self-hypnosis for a minute. Hi guys, my name is Brendan, and I'm going to be showing you some of the self-hypnosis techniques that I've been kind of working with. I've been, workshopping these with these professional hypnotists, and everyone seems on board. So I'll just want to explain a little bit about self-hypnosis and how hypnosis is used before I go into the actual method that we're going to be using today. And this is all a self-directed process. So none of this is any outside influences. This is all for your internal growth and your internal development. So first foremost, I should say, my name is Brendan Byrne, and this is a method to create lasting internal change and external change, and utilizing an ordinary deck of cards. And that's really the crux that my process is built around, is an ordinary deck of playing cards. And so this guide will cover the preparation work before starting the process, before going into the actual process itself, which is broken into three parts. The first part is a settling process in which you bring your body down to a relaxed and ready state, followed by the actual induction, which is into the trance of hypnosis itself, which is going to be through a method called fractionation. It's a blinking process. And then finally is the development using your actual self-suggestion. So what is hypnosis? Hypnosis is an altered state that allows direct conversation with your subconscious mind. This is the part of you that controls all aspects of your life that you engage in without thought. For example, your breathing, your heartbeat, how you perceive certain things, and that worth or not worth your attention. So your mind is running on the program it has been taught, which in turn begs the question, who's the one doing the programming? So self-hypnosis is a way to internalize these unconscious processes from out of the hands of other influences into your own, so you become your own influence in this method. So hypnosis is far more common than most people assume. We naturally enter into a hypnotic state twice per day, and that is when we're first going to bed and when we're first waking up. During those twilight hours, the things that we tell ourselves, the messages that we implant in our own minds, the narratives we're talking to ourselves with, get more deeply embedded in our subconscious, and more often than not, the thoughts you're having during those waking hours and during those sleeping hours actually do manifest into the real world by changing your actual behaviors. So the self-hypnosis is an aspect of that, changing it from when you're sleeping to a waking state, really. And so the subconscious is the automatic driver of all the things you do without thought, your experiences, memories, emotions, habits, addictions, spiritual connection, intuition, and involuntary bodily functions. So how you can change that, though, is first by going ahead and the first part of the process is setting your expectations. You want to have a playful attitude when you're engaging in these practices, one that actually is able to accept the fact that change is being made, that you don't have to be 100% perfect, because this is a self-directed process. So there's no one way which is more successful necessarily than others. I'm just proposing a method that you can use as individuals here today. And so also I would recommend keeping it secret. There's no need to be bringing other people into this process, to be telling people, inviting more doubt into your process, because you are literally creating what you're thinking about. So if you're doubting the efficiency, how effective it is, your self-hypnotic method, then you're going to be undermining your success from the get-go. So just have a playful attitude and give into it as you see. Now, the next element of that is going to be building your actual suggestion. So that's one of the most important aspects of the self-hypnotic process. And so this is going to be a phrase, typically about 10 words or less, and it's going to be using positive language. You're setting measurable goals with your language. You're phrasing in the present tense, and you have strong and concise word symbolism in your self-suggestion. So throughout this process, you're going to be repeating that self-suggestion 108 times. Now that is a particular number. It's used in a lot of Eastern traditions. That is the number on mala beads. But for our purposes here today, we're going to be counting to 108 on deck of cards that includes the 2 jokers. So you're going to be going through a deck of cards saying your self-suggestion once for each card. That's fine. So moving on then. So positive language, measurable goals, phrasing in the past present tense, and strong concise word symbolism. Those 4 things together are what make a strong self-suggestion. Now once you have your actual self-suggestion determined, you want to make sure it's addressing the root cause of the issues and not just a symptom. A lot of people, they believe that they're addressing a root cause, they want to lose weight, but really if they build a suggestion then, I'm becoming my ideal weight, they are unaware of the fact that there's already preconceived suggestions that are into the subconscious about what the ideal weight of an individual should be. So more often than not, in a situation like that where you're trying to lose weight, you need to come at it from another perspective. You want to use a suggestion more so along the lines of, I am worthy of, I'll phrase it better as we go along. Excuse me, guys. Then moving on, preparing your space, right? And so that's the next element of self-hypnotic process, is to make sure that you're safe and that you're calm and that you're not going to be disrupted during the process. It's a personal thing, so you want to have a private, personal, safe setting, a deck of standard playing cards which you can use your repetitions on. Then you want to have a reference instruction and a place to put the cards on as you're laying them down in front of you. Loose-fitting clothing is very important, as is soft lighting. And putting your phone in airplane mode is what I suggest. Optional incense, there's a lot of links between the olfactory senses and the memory. And so it really does allow another way for your subconscious to be influenced and to get these ideas deeper into your subconscious mind. And also another thing is non-lyrical music. You do not want to be using lyrics because that can unintentionally get implanted into your subconscious as well if you're listening to the words of the track that you're using when you're going into a hypnotic state. Now, moving on, the actual process itself. I recommend first with a settling process that you use, and that's a simple breathing count. So on the count of 4, you're inhaling, holding for 4 seconds, exhaling over the count of 4, and then holding your breath fully exhaled for 4 seconds. So it's inhale on 1, 2, 4, hold it, 4, exhale, 4, hold it. And that is just to get your body prepared to actually enter the altered state. The next step in that process is going to be actually called the induction itself, which is where you move between one form of your waking conscious state into an actual state of trance. And so the induction then I'm going to be teaching you guys about is called fractionation. And so that's a simple process from a relaxed seated position. You let your gaze go upwards and soften. You could choose a specific point in front of you. And then what you will be doing is that you will be counting. I choose to count down from 99, but whatever number best suits you, whatever number you like, you can start counting down from. And so on each count, you're going to be blinking, 99, and imagining a wave of relaxation moving from the top of your head down and out your toes. Opening your eyes, connecting on that spot that you're staring at before counting down again, 98. And typically, it'll take less than 20 numbers counting in order to enter that altered state of trance. From that altered state of trance, then, you have a direct line of communication with your subconscious mind. And so what you're going to be using then, once you recognize that you are in that state of trance, you can even test it for yourself. You could say to yourself, if I'm in an altered state of trance, if I am hypnotized, let my finger rise on my left hand, and naturally your subconscious will respond to that command, and your finger will rise if you are actually finding yourself in that state. Now, you have your self-suggestion already written down in front of you. You know, you have your deck of cards, and then now's the actual manifestation process. How I suggest manifesting your suggestion is by using your deck of cards to count your repetitions on. Now, 108 repetitions may seem like a lot, but it actually goes faster than you'd imagine. But the most important element of using your repetitions, your self-suggestions, is to making sure that you are imagining all the elements of that given suggestion as to being true in your present tense, in your present moment. So for each repetition, imagine how you will think, feel, or act if that suggestion were true for you. So you want to actually work through this mentally 108 times, and you can imagine different scenes where your self-suggestion will be manifesting. And then you could see yourself becoming the change in the positive ways it will affect you. So you're going to be, for each card that you place down, you're going to be repeating your self-suggestion and then imagining the self-suggestion as true before placing a next card. Now, you could say then that this really will deeply embed any subconscious suggestions for you. So it will make it true. So after you go through the process of these self-suggestions using a deck of cards, you'll go through 54 of them, and then from that point, you want to express gratitude for allowing these changes to manifest into your conscious life, into your conscious mind, and pick up the deck of 54 cards and go and do it again. Now, there's something to be said about 108, the number. It's a very spiritually intense number, and there's a lot of Eastern traditions that use that specific amount of repetitions in their spiritual practices. But I'm using it here just because it is literally extremely effective at reprogramming your subconscious and getting these thoughts in your brain in a way that otherwise you would have to be trying to fight against all your other preconditioned subconscious things that you're already loaded with. So some examples of self-suggestions include I am fulfilling my potential. I am building my future. I am deserving of love. I embody confidence. Being confident is easy for me. I find fulfillment in the little things. And so really you can tailor your self-suggestion to whatever your goals are in order to manifest them more quickly and readily. And I recommend using this process once every day for 5 days in order to really deeply embed those subconscious thoughts into those conscious thoughts into your subconscious. It's a very powerful process, and I use it with great effect. I recommend you guys try it out for yourselves. See if you can find any real waking use for it. But after you are completed with your repetitions, you go through the deck of cards twice, which is for 108 repetitions with your imagination as well. Then what you need to do from there is, in your waking state, after you allow yourself to naturally come out of the hypnotic trance, you can go ahead and take a real-world action that symbolizes the change you're trying to effect in yourself. So this is proving to yourself that the suggestions you're building and giving to yourself actually are true and do have a real-world implication. Because if you take an action, you take the first step towards making it true what you have suggested, then it literally is true. You have succeeded in being true with your suggestion. And especially if you understand it to be a progressive road of success, not an all-at-once thing, then it becomes much more easy to interpret. Okay, and there are some other elements of this that I didn't really cover. I also suggest using an anchor. This is an NLP, a neuro-linguistic programming technique, where you anchor a mental state with a physical action, so that way you can recall that physical action more readily. I didn't really go into that too much here today, but I'm good to take questions then. Do we have any questions from the audience?
You can go into that too if you want to.
Oh,
We've got some time.
Okay. I kind of tore through it, didn't I?
Go in a lot more detail if you'd like.
All right. Well,
For the 5 days that you should just use the same
Anchor.
information for the 5 days?
yeah, 5 to 7 days is what I repeat. I suggest 5 to 7 days is the most effective way to get your self-suggestion deeply implanted in your consciousness. The same one, or you can have an element of it being the same and just change the phrasing. But as long as it's the same mental vision, the same idea that you want to create for yourself, that you want to have manifest, then that is a powerful aspect of the process. So, does that answer your question?
Is there a better way to phrase it? There's a better way to come about, like more of a positive phrasing, or?
Yes, you have to have a positive phrasing. In fact, having a negative phrasing undermines the process itself. The subconscious mind can't interpret negative statements, at least not properly. So if you are trying to get really good at chess or something, and you implant in your consciousness, I can't fail at chess. Your subconscious doesn't have the ability to negate that, so it interprets it as fail at chess. So you're literally programming yourself to fail in that situation. I believe we had a question from Dave.
Yeah, I like the example of a bad intention, which is I will achieve my ideal weight. I am achieving my ideal weight.
Yes.
Do you have other suggestions of what doesn't work aside from the negation?
Yes, you want to make sure your suggestion is. I have 4 suggestions for that. Whoa, all over. It's okay. I'll get to it. But you also use positive language, so no negation first off, right? Then you set a measurable goal. So a measurable goal is an important aspect of it, because if you want to have something that you can see progress being made on, so that way you're not automatically discouraging yourself from continuing the process. You want to be able to say like, oh, every day I'm getting better at X. So it's like, okay, if you did something towards that today, then it's true. As long as you're doing it every day, then you're manifesting your intention. And next is you want to phrase it in the present tense. It needs to be interpreted like, oh, this is true for me now. I'm inhabiting this version of myself that I'm speaking into truth. And so you don't want to say like, oh, I am going to study tomorrow. You can't say that, because then tomorrow comes and you're saying, oh, tomorrow, and then it's a recursive thing, so it's not helpful. And then next is going to be a strong, concise word symbolism. Typically you want to be under 10 words, just because it's really unwieldy to start repeating an entire paragraph 108 times in a single sitting. Usually for me it takes less than 15 minutes to go through 108 repetitions to do this process from beginning to end. But a lot of it has to do with how you're actually constructing your self-suggestion to make sure that you're not being counteracting, and you're addressing the root issue. You can't simply just expect, your weight to be fixed just by saying, I'm going to be thinner. I believe that the phrase I worded it with is that intention works when it is tuned with the vision of reality. And so that's just an important element to that. All right. Any other questions for right now?
Anchors.
Anchors.
Yeah.
Oh,
said
yeah.
With a physical motion, not a physical place or like field or like space.
Yes. There is a way you can do an anchor with a physical place, but then you're limited to using your anchor only in that physical place. It's if you're having your anchor linked to an emotion. What did I write exactly?
Say emotion or motion?
Emotion. I said emotion in air.
Okay.
But you can have your motion linked to an emotion as well, theoretically. So you can be like, oh, when I do this, I get really angry for some reason. Like you can do that if you wanted. So much of your consciousness is up for manipulation into the individual. But regarding anchors,
What's an anchor?
I actually deleted it from this copy, what I was going to say. But an anchor is an NLP concept where you are conceiving a given situation, you're putting yourself in a mental state, and then you're physically linking that mental state with a real world action. So that way you can recall that mental state at your will just by performing the action that is associated with it. And so it's a neuro-linguistic programming concept.
Ringing a bell and the hypnotist like ringing a bell.
That is definitely an example of an anchor, yeah. But I think that also comes into terms with triggers, and that's a trigger is if you are being hypnotized by someone else or even by yourself, you can give yourself triggers through self-hypnosis. But that is when you have an automatic subconscious response to an experience like a bell ringing or whatever, what have you, you know?
Hey, stop!
All right. Well,
Jace, did you have a question, Jace?
Jace, ask your question.
what do you got, dude?
My God, that's made us.
Oh, so that we could know him. I don't know. That's a great question, really.
How did God
How did
make
God
us?
make us?
Something like that.
Well, I think it said why, but
Love each other.
Okay.
To know thyself.
know thyself.
I think
Yeah,
Nate had a question over there.
that's a great question. Bravo.
Had a
Alrighty.
question
Well,
up here.
oh, in the back. That's not that's just a guideline just to make sure you're not forgetting your suggestion halfway into your process. If you need a reminder, you could have it in front of you. But writing it is actually another way that you can do self-suggestions too. Instead of repeating it to yourself, you can write it 108 times if you were so inclined. There's literally any way that you can conceive of implanting a thought into your mind is a completely valid and useful way to do self-hypnosis. There's no one right way, there's no one wrong way. It comes down to your individual experience for what you're finding effective for yourself.
Only one time.
Does that answer your question? Oh, yeah?
Wait, I'm gonna have to twist it. So move back a little bit.
Yeah, not at night. I recommend not doing your hypnotic processes at night because you do want to go ahead and have a physical representation, take a real world step towards the implementation and the completion of your suggestion as true. So if you can prove that what you have suggested to yourself is true in your waking state as soon as you complete it, then you're that much closer to having it deeply embedded into your subconscious mind.
And then I'll do it.
Does that kind of answer?
No.
All right, great. Yes, sir. Question in the back. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. I do not, but that is a great idea. I will definitely try that out. Let you know. Actually, please let me know as well. The process you could. Yeah. Well, we can compare notes. Yeah, I guess I could go more in depth then. Oh, another question.
Would you try in sharing your own experience of so you think that the process
For this. And now.
Yes. One of the suggestions that I've been using in the past week actually is that I am successful with self-hypnosis, and that is kind of what drove me to be standing here in front of you guys. Because I conceived of these thoughts as I am successful with self-hypnosis in the form that I'd be helping other people learn it, and that I'd be helping spread the use of it and enable them to create real changes inside their own subconscious mind for anyone who wants to reorient themselves in some way. Very good. Yes?
Do you know more that you can go into in the depth of the number 108? Because I know it's like you said, like cross-cultural, even the mala and a rosary and
Yes.
Catholicism has 108 beads.
I didn't realize rosaries did as well. Okay.
Yeah, and there's the radio stations go to 107.9.
Oh.
It's just like, that's a weird one. I don't know if that has,
No,
if
that's-
that's really
Let's Google
synchronistically
it.
connected or not. But
I think there's something there to be said about that, and I think that can even tie in with other musical frequency conspiracies, whatever word you want to use. You know, the 440 versus 432 idea of the hertz, the A4 being 432 as being a more spiritually inclined number. but that's not what I'm talking about.
You can.
I know I can. Well, I can't. I don't have my notes.
You can fake it.
Yeah, but cymatics is the term for when you have frequencies, harmonics that is in 432, and that's one of the solfeggio frequencies. Solfeggio frequencies are like the traditional musical scale as has been used by ancient societies. I believe that is how it's defined. Don't quote me on that. But, you know, there's a lot to be said there about the number 108 specifically and how it does manifest intentions more than any other number in my understanding and in my experience. So it's a really useful practice that you can use by yourself that to create changes in your own mind and your own subconscious. And you can even use these self-hypnotic processes to dehypnotize yourself, to rewire that which does no longer serves you. So if you were to use a self-suggestion, such as I am removing that which does not serve me. I'm removing those processes which no longer serve me. And you repeat that 108 times with your intention. Then you imagine each time you're repeating it, the way in which you will be reprogramming yourself and the changes that you're going to be seeing in your conscious mind. And so that ties in pretty well with these processes. I think I've talked about it, you know, a decent amount. Alrighty.
Hey, you want to tell us about your server that we're on the Telegram? Do you like the natural law discussion?
Oh, the natural law discussion group. Yeah. So another thing that I do is through Derek Brose's freedomcells.org. I'm not sure how many of you guys are on there, but I run a Telegram group connected to that, which is dedicated to natural law discussions. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, I host a chat where people come in and we all have discussed various elements and facets of natural law. Some of the things we've talked about in depth are the Kabbalion. We've talked about just the different useful practices. We even talk about medical things and using things like CDS, chlorine dioxide solution, using colloidal silver, colloidal gold, a lot of other supplements, and it's been really good. We talk about the 440 versus 432, talk about self-hypnosis, and so it's an interesting chat that has brought a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds all together to bring some good knowledge to the forefront. So it's great. Natural law solutions. If you're natural law discussion, if you're interested, I can send you an invite. Discussions are held over Telegram directly once a week. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys. Hey.